On today's show, will the Dallas Mavericks make a move at the trade deadline? Sources say the Mavs are revving up for one. And we'll talk about the Rui Hachimura trade and how that affects the Dallas Mavericks and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
How about 10 Mavericks, NBA champions? Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
They don't. And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day. Remember, Locked On Mavs is free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to comment anything below. Let us know, what's one trade target you want the Mavericks to pursue? Somebody that you're like, oh, they got to go get Scary Terry. They got to go get Scary Terry. They got to go get Miles Turner. They got to go get somebody. Let us know who it is.
Speak my language.
In the comment section below. Someone told me once, if they get those two guys, they'd win the title. I don't know who it was. That guy was really smart. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Time to get started today. Joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, and contributor at Mavs.com, the dealin' dude, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Oh, I love this time of the year.
You get your dealin'. You get your dealin'.
It's such a fun time of the year.
Stop
trade
using
season,
and start dealing.
Trade rumors. I'm just here to consume it all, even if it's like real or fake. I'm like, let me think about it. You know.
Hey, speaking of which, I won't say which one, but we did see Scoop B at the AAC the other day watching the Mavs. I'm already blocked on Twitter. How will he know?
I stopped to talk to him about it. I'm like, hey, Nick is blocked. And,
No, the only one that I care about that is Nick Van Exel. You know, Nick Van Exel still has me blocked on Twitter.
Oh man, we need an
Nick the Quick. I didn't mean anything by my name on Twitter. I didn't.
He's like, look at this guy. Look at this little white guy trying to
I'm just a fan.
Make fun of me.
I'm just a fan that's taller than you.
I will say the Rui Hachimura trade pissed me off because, I just was just on this pod not so long ago saying I still have property on the island of Rui, and I mean I guess for money's sake the value went up. But
definitely if All-Star votes is going to be some kind of currency on your island, because he's gonna be in the top 10 by the time that the All-Star voting comes around, because Lakers fans are just going to keep putting him in their lineups there. But on today's show, let's get into the rumor of the day. We'll talk about the Rui Hachimura trade, how it affects the Mavericks, what's going on with the Lakers, the Wizards, and then I have a bunch of different Rui Hachimura type deals. I'm doing air quotes. It's like a cheap, acquirable talent that's on an expiring deal, or a cheaper type contract, or something that's acquirable that maybe has some upswing, maybe somebody that's an older vet on the other side of it. So we'll talk about those a little bit here, but let's talk about this. Tim Cato, The Athletic, our friend of the show, host of the only Dallas Mavericks podcast, apparently. There's a growing sense around the league that the Mavericks will make a move, and the internal signs of restlessness from key figures of the organization have become more visible in recent days. Isaac Harris, you and I have one rule when it comes to rumors and sources and everything. There's only a select few people that we trust around the Mavericks, and anytime those people say something, we dissect it carefully, because when they say something, it matters, and the way they say things matter.
Yeah, and Tim Cato is one of those guys. I was waiting for Mark to reach out to Cato and text him and say it wasn't true.
He says Tim McMahon is dead wrong. Hold on.
He's like, no, hey, I'm the wrong Tim. Like, this is Cato.
Still,
yeah,
we're banning McMahon again.
Then he keeps on going. He's like, no, you're still talking to Tim Cato. This isn't McMahon. But no, I mean, I think they make a trade. I mean, I think that they're, not fully happy with the thing. I mean, we talked about the whole Luka thing report with McMahon, and Mark got involved in all of that last week, and I think there's a little truth to it. Let's leave it at that. But Mark's doing the right thing about trying to say, hey, this isn't true, because with Luka, he loves his teammates, but
Right.
You know,
That's why that's why he paid that guy to take the mural down that we talked about.
We're not talking about mural mannequin.
I just talked about his work, you know.
No. But no, I mean, I think it's interesting, you know, to hear about like recent them becoming more. What was this phrase he used in that more?
There's a growing sense around the league that the Mavericks will make a move, and the internal signs of restlessness from key figures of the organization have become more visible in recent days. Now,
the young and the restless.
I take that, and if it's key figures, it's more than one. It's not just Luka, right? It's not just Luka's the only one looking around being like, why is no one trying to help me around here, right? Like the Mavericks themselves, you see, if you watched Mark Cuban ever watch a Mavericks game, you know he feels this too. Like he feels this, that this Mavericks team doesn't have enough. The Mavericks themselves knew this even before the Western Conference Finals run, even after the Western Conference Finals run, that they knew this team wasn't ready to compete just now. They needed to take another step forward. They knew this team wasn't it. Going into the season, it didn't feel like this team was like, this is our squad. Let's go. We got this. Like everybody is, you know, we got a target on our back and we're ready for it. It was like, we got a target on our back, and we know we got some things to work on, and we know that we're going to try some stuff, and we're going to start JaVale McGee, we're going to bring Christian Wood off the bench. Like, it was just all this stuff where this team isn't set and whole. Like, the Mavericks don't think that. Luka doesn't think that. Mark Cuban doesn't think that, right? Like, all these people.
Jason Kidd doesn't think that.
Jason Kidd definitely doesn't think that.
That post-game comment from the other night about the defense, when he was really mad, he's like, yeah, well, with this personnel, you know, we have to just keep on.
Cato put that in his story in The Athletic today. You know, if it's with this personnel, you've got to keep asking or demanding for those guys to play defense. It's not just the offensive end. So, like, even Jason Kidd making comments and quotes about the personnel. Like, no one is happy with where the Mavericks are personnel-wise right now. It's just that we've talked about this a couple times before. They don't have the assets to make moves like a bunch of different try this, throw stuff at the wall and see if it works. Like, they don't have the luxury of being a blogger or a podcaster like us or somebody to just like chuck stuff at the wall and be like, let me just try this and see if that works. Like, they can go around and start like saying like, hey, would you make this trade, you know, Sacramento? Would you make this trade to, you know, the Hornets or whoever, and say that, like, and maybe they'll agree to it, but you can't just try a whole bunch of stuff and see what happens. Like, it's got to be a move that everyone agrees on, and it's got to be a move that moves this team forward, or else, like, Luka's got some decisions to make in a couple years, right? Like, this is a really, really tough time to be building a team. Ask the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James. Ask the Thunder, who had, like, MVP-type guys in Westbrook and Harden at one point with Kevin Durant. Like, it's really hard to build a team at this point around a star that's as good as who Luka is.
I don't think it's a matter of if the Mavericks, you know, make a trade. It's how big is the trade that
this
Dallas
in the season.
Yeah, in this season. And I think I would push just a little bit back of saying they do have assets. It's just a matter of are they going to hoard it for the summer, or are they going to dip into some of that now? Because they do have a couple first thing trade. They do have a younger piece in Josh Green. They do have expiring contracts and stuff right now, like Dwight and Christian Wood and, you know, Reggie, if you want them. They do have some assets to go out and take a big swing. Not the biggest swing, but take a triple type of, you know, swing right now. It's just a matter of, do they want to do that now? Do they feel that much pressure? Or do they want to hold some of their assets for the summer?
My point is, they can't go do the Bogdanovich trade and the Miles Turner trade. And like, all right, let's make a couple different moves now, because then in the summer, they won't have the assets to make the big move, right? We've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for who the big move is and who's going to be the help. You know, please send help from Luka. Like this is the player that has to come this summer when they get those picks back. They still have Josh Green. They'll still have Jaden Hardy going in the second year. They'll have, you know, a couple expirings. Like they'll have some things to trade for sure, and they have some now, but they'll have more in the offseason. Is my point.
Here in a second, we're going to take a break, but with the YouTube in the YouTube comments today, leave the answer to this question: should the Mavericks hold their assets for the summer, or should they take a swing right now?
It's a great question. We'll talk about that and more of the Rui Hachimura trade coming up. But before we do, Let me tell you about FanDuel. Oh, yeah. NFL playoffs are
FanDuel, baby.
here. NFL playoffs are here. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sports book in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers join today. Get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed. When you place your first $5 bet, put down $5, get $150 in free bets guaranteed. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads, player props, all that kind of stuff. Check it out. It's FanDuel Sportsbook. You can check out the NFL lines. You can check out NBA. Okay, they have.
Give me some NFL ones.
Oh, I had NBA up, but I can
Give
go.
me the playoffs.
So we talked about we did the playoff games the other day, right? Okay, Eagles 49ers. Guess the spread. Eagles at home.
Say Eagles by 3.5.
It's only 2.5 on FanDuel. That one's interesting to me. They're believing in Brock Purdy over there and Purdy. Chiefs with a hobbled Mahomes against the Cincinnati Bengals. Who?
2.
Guess the spread. Who by 2?
Chiefs.
Bengals 1.5 now. That's changed recently. That's changed in recent days. Maybe FanDuel knows something, but if you know something, go check it out. FanDuel. Also, go to Locked On or go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Place your first $5 bet. Get $150 in free bets. All right, Isaac Harris. Let's keep talking about this Dallas Mavericks team. We talked about the Mavericks making a move, what this trade deadline is going to look like, kind of a trade deadline primer. I went on a rant about the Mavericks and what they can do and what they can't do right now. But a move that the Lakers did make, in one that we talked about, the Mavericks may be doing, is Rui Hachimura. He was a player that seemed to be on the way out from the Wizards. They were trying to decide, all right, should we trade Kuzma? Should we trade Rui? They were trying to make the decision. That's a pretty easy deal if you're just looking at the two players in a vacuum, like who they are and how good they've been. So they decided to trade Rui Hachimura. We'll talk about the Wizards side of it. We'll talk about the Lakers side of it. The reason why the Mavericks couldn't make this deal is because the Mavericks don't have 3 seconds. They have 2 seconds that they can trade right now. They have other seconds tied up they sent a couple out in the Jaden Hardy trade. And they have a one tied up because of the Porzingis first round pick that is the 2023 first round pick that would convey into seconds and blah, blah. There's all kinds of complicated stuff. But Mavericks only had 2 seconds available to them right now to make a trade. That's why the Mavericks didn't make this deal. What did you think about this deal? And what did you make about this Rui Hachimura deal overall?
I was frustrated because, I still have some stock on Rui Island. I'm a believer in him. I just want to see him in a different situation. I'm happy for him going to the Lakers.
My guy scores 30 points and a Wizards win, gets traded the next day. It's like, come on.
I think for a wing like that, 6'8", top draft pick. I think he went 7th overall in his draft just 3 or 4 years ago. Or the draft after Luka, I think. For him to go learn from LeBron right now and play with him, it's like, sure. I don't know what they're going to pay him, and all that stuff. But for them to get him for, 3 seconds and freaking Kendrick Nunn, like, great move for the Lakers. That's why I was frustrated by it. And I'm like, really? Like, couldn't have went, anywhere else. And it feels like, I saw the Jake, Fisher report today that, that price point for that second round pick kind of, was the tipping point for him because there was another deal in the works about Phoenix and Milwaukee and Jay Crowder and all that. Jay Crowder's probably looking at it saying, I've been waiting to get traded forever, so why can't I get traded?
Yeah, I would have been so happy in Washington. But
yeah, I was frustrated, and I hate seeing I hate seeing the Lakers of all teams. I hate the Lakers just get be on the good end of a receiving. Whatever.
Yes. So for the Lakers, it's 3 seconds. And you're like, okay, it doesn't mean a whole lot in the aggregate.
I don't give a crap.
If you have them, go for it. But what they do have is
second round picks matter.
But what the Lakers do have now is a dilemma on Rui Hachimura. You have 3 months to decide how much you should pay him and for how long, because he becomes a free agent, and then all of a sudden you have to make this decision. The Lakers, this is one thing I think that affects the Mavericks. The Lakers could have had $30 million in cap space this summer if they didn't, they cleared out the Rui deal and they cleared out Austin Reeves too. They didn't sign those guys to extensions. They would have $30 million in cap space to work with. Now, looks like they're going to re-sign Reeves. And according to reports, they intend to re-sign Rui Hachimura. All of a sudden, that $30 million in space is like nothing, right? It probably goes down to, well, like at least 20, at least.
Well, yeah. What it tells me is we're about to see a Westbrook and the the draft picks trade coming because I think that's one of the reasons they're holding out for that type of trades, because if they trade Westbrook, they're probably gonna get a guy that's cutting into the cap space going into the summer. Then they're not cap space players and all of that stuff. So when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, this is a move that helps them win now, but also if they want to pivot this summer and let's say LeBron says, I want to go somewhere else, whatever, Rui's like still a young guy that you're like, all right, we still want him on the team, no matter if we're in win now mode or not. So I thought it was a great move for the Lakers, and I hate saying that. And they're probably going to make another win now, move over the next, few weeks. And then we're going to look at it and be like, they really turned Westbrook, 3 seconds, Kendrick Nunn, Beverly, and some draft picks into like 4 solid rotation players. That's what's going to affect Dallas.
They'll do the inverse of the Westbrook trade that they made to the Wizards.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say they do the whole Pacers thing. It's like we turn around, they have Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, Rui Hachimura, and another person, and it's like really compared to the scrap pieces they had before, then we're talking about they're like fighting with Dallas for one of those playoff spots and stuff.
Yeah, I mean right now the Lakers are 22-25. They are a game out of the play-in, so they're they're right there. Haven't been healthy. Anthony Davis seems like he's coming back relatively soon. It's not like it's a long way off. And so now the Lakers team this move doesn't it shores them up, but it at least adds a competent player to or a decent player compared to what they had. I mean, it adds something to their rotation. The upgrade from from Kendrick Nunn to Rui Hachimura is something.
Oh, come on. God, it's dumb. For the Wizards side, it's clearly a money thing for them that they want to create, they want to create some more space to re-sign Kyle Kuzma and all that stuff. So I want to stay on the Wizards real quick. They're in town tonight in Dallas.
Yeah.
No KP tonight. Bummer that, he's hurt with this.
Brad, is KP going to play? It reminded me of good times.
Hey, can everybody tweet Brad tomorrow on Tuesday? Everybody tweet Brad on Twitter
at Town Brad Brad on Twitter with the raccoon emoji. He'll be so confused.
Ask him if KP is playing. But for them, it looks like they're just trying to create more space. They know they're not going anywhere this year, but create more space to re-sign Kuzma, keep some of these guys. So for me, I'm looking at it saying, hey, I think there's another name that if they're just trying to shed some money on their books, I think Monte Morris would be a decent name that I would be targeting if I was Dallas to be like a third guard off the bench.
Yeah, for the Wizards, this deal, I immediately texted Ed and Brandon from Locked On Wizards, and I was like, guys, this franchise, and they both responded almost at the same time. I know. They literally just made this move to cut costs so they could sign Kuzma to an extension that he doesn't want to sign with them, that he will because he's going to get that money there and he won't get it anywhere else. Yeah. And so now, if he signed Kuzma to an $18 million or more deal, next season they'll be paying Beal, Porzingis, and Kuzma $100 million.
I mean, that's like title there.
Anytime you can do, they basically rebuilt their 2005 team, but worse. Like Gilbert Arenas, Larry Hughes, Antoine Jameson. That's like the three. Like literally.
Is there any chance KP opts out?
Yeah, I was gonna say KP could opt out, and then all of a sudden that changes things for him. But yeah, they have this weird team now. All of a sudden, they don't have they don't really have young players that are like on the rise. Like Denny Avdia's kind of, Kispert kind of, Johnny Davis hasn't really done anything. Jordan Goodwin's like okay here and there, but like they don't really have any young guys that are really waiting to like pop. Rui was kind of one of those guys they were waiting to pop, so they're kind of like
Dan Gafford's like
this is kind of their team. They basically made this deal for money reasons, which is sad on all fronts. But all right, I guess we'll do that. Coming up, let's get into some other Rui Hachimura type trades the Mavericks could do. They got some other names out there that I think could be a move like this that the Mavs could make. So we'll talk about that coming up. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into some Rui Hachimura type deals. Now, what I mean by this is, so the Lakers made this trade. They trade a couple of seconds and a guy that wasn't really doing it for him. I mean, if you watched him play against the Mavs the other day, he made like a couple threes, but other than that, he was really bad. and he hasn't really been playable for them. And so they take this guy and they flip it into a guy that is going to play for them, that is a 40% catch-and-shoot three-point shooter, that can score 30 on a given night, that's still young, has some upside. They're like, okay, that's a flyer. In the business, we call that a flyer. What kind of flyers could the Mavericks make that's a cheap, acquirable talent, maybe on an expiring deal, a cheaper contract, something on a team that isn't necessarily trying to win or knows that they can't win, right? That's sort of the calculus here. And I've got some exceptions here and there. A couple on the Pistons that we've talked about before. Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel. Alec Burks, $10 million. He's got a team option in 23-24. Nerlens Noel, $9.2 million, team option in 23-24. What are your thoughts on both of those guys?
I think they both fit in Dallas. I think it would be great. Alec Burks, solid wing guy. I would love to see. I mean, we've talked about Nerlens before, but I'd love to see Nerlens back in Dallas playing with Luka. Just, I don't think it's a world changer, but he'd be better than JaVale, and which isn't a high bar. But with Nerlens, I mean, he can play some defense. He can protect the rim. He can catch some lobs. Sure.
It would be, you just have like the inverse of Dwight and Nerlens. Like, all right, which one do we want on the floor?
Yeah.
At any given time. Burks is the one that's really interesting to me because he's got some guard skills. He's sort of a combo guard that like can handle the ball, but is more on the wing. That's what I'm interested in. $10 million. What can the Mavs put together to just trade off for them? Maybe they send a second. Like you don't have to send much off to some of these teams that just have these guys that. What are the Pistons doing with him, right? Like they're probably not gonna pick up that option next year.
Yeah. So, I mean, what if Detroit said, "Hey, what if Detroit does trade Bojan, and they get something back, they get a first, whatever." But the concept of Bojan they really like, and because everything you hear about them with Bojan, they love Bojan. They love having a vet like that that can play on the wing, hit some threes, and play with their young guys. Well, what if they turned around to Dallas and said, "Hey, we just traded Bojan. Would y'all be interested in a Nerlens Alec Burks for Tim Hardaway deal?" Tim goes to Detroit. He plays well in Detroit. We all know that.
Remember the last time he played here and scored 40? Yeah. We want that guy.
Would Dallas be interested in that? How much of Tim does Alec Burks bring? And then you're getting off future money. Nerlens is added to the center rotation there.
The team would have a lot of centers that you're like not real comfortable playing in a playoff series. If you do that,
the bullpen.
It's definitely
starters.
It's definitely a bullpen. I don't know how many of them would be in the pen still when the playoffs came. Probably all of them except maybe Maxey, and maybe Christian Wood, just because. But yeah, that's interesting because Tim is $17.8 million next year, $16.1 the year after that. So you get off of both of that.
He fits great in Detroit too.
He would fit great in Detroit next to Ivy and Cade and and all that. I don't think the talent you're getting back is worth it. Like these are not flyer.
Well, what about the long-term money?
The long-term money is interesting to me, but when are you clearing meaningful cap space? It wouldn't be until
it's about the flexibility, Nick.
Yeah, but flexibility to do what, Nico Harrison?
To get a seat at the table, Nick Angstadt.
Did I delete it?
Get your soundboard right. Come on, you're slacking.
Damn it. I did. I deleted it.
Come on.
I deleted it.
Whatever.
Sorry.
All right, give me some more. Give me some more names that you got.
All right. This is one you've talked about. Kobe White, $7.7 million expiring. This is similar to some other deals we've heard that they've been trying to trade him for a while. He's just out there, still young. Like this is the perfect Rui-Type trade that you could make. Like you got it's $7.7 million. So can we do JaVale plus Frank to equal the salaries plus like a couple seconds?
Would you give up that much of your doubt? No. I don't. Yeah, I like Kobe White. I don't know how. I just don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess for something like that, sure.
These are swings, right? These are not players that are gonna like really excite you, but it's a guy that can dribble and can shoot.
There's an angle of it to where you say, I mean, he's an expiring contract where you're saying, all right, I'm paying a second round pick. Let's say it's 1 second for JaVale, Nick, Frank, and
dang it, do I have to host with Koo now?
We're sending Nick and JaVale and a second round pick.
I would love to host with Koo. I'd be honored to host with Koo, by the way.
Who is in Detroit? Come on.
That's what we're talking about Chicago. Oh, I get to host with Hayes and Pat. No, that'd be 3 too many.
Patty D.
Okay, my other one. So yeah, with Kobe White, that one's one that is like a Rui deal to me. I think.
Yeah.
It's the closest. Yeah. It's the closest one to it. And you'd get 3 months to decide. All right, what is this guy to us? And then you get off some of that. You get off the JaVale money, and figure out. I don't think Chicago does that, but maybe because they're not doing anything, and maybe they want a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Cam Reddish, we've talked about him. The Mavs have been actually linked to him. $5.9 million expiring. This is another like literally a Rui-type move where you're betting on somebody that could be better in the future, taking a flyer on him. We like what we've said in the past and what I've said in the past. I don't think he plays on this team. Like Kobe White probably doesn't either, but like I don't think a Cam Reddish type plays on the. If Jaden Hardy's not playing, then I don't think you're gonna find room for a Kobe or a Cam Reddish to play on this team defensively.
There's more of a route for Kobe White to play than Cam Reddish though, and yeah, Cam would be like, yeah, sweet, I'm gonna get traded somewhere I can play. It's like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna play over. At least Rui knows he's going to a Lakers team to where outside of LeBron and AD, everybody sucks.
Yeah, Rui's gonna start from day one probably.
Yeah, but yeah.
This is a wild card one. Romeo Langford. Oh. He's on the Spurs right. He's on the Spurs right now. $5.6 million, and he's a restricted free agent after this year. But it's a flyer.
He ain't playing.
No, I don't think he's playing either.
But staying on the Spurs though, I seen Michael Scotto write with Hoops-Hype that he was talking about obviously Pirtle, but McDermott, Josh Richardson, both could be had for like Josh Richardson 1 second round pick, McDermott 1 maybe 2 second round picks. I mean, this Dallas, like I think one of those dudes could at least maybe get in the rotation.
I have a whole list of guys like that after these.
Oh, okay.
So, okay.
Sorry.
My 2 more that are Mo. You're on the right track there. You're on the right track.
Oh, thanks.
2 more guys that are like Rui types, like through and through.
Okay.
Our old friend Isaiah Roby, not really playing with the Spurs. Played really good for the Thunder at certain times last year. He's 25, $1.9 million expiring, real flyer. Like I don't know if he's playing on this team, but you're really taking a flyer. You need some bigs right now. Maybe you try him.
No.
And maybe he goes on a little run. Nothing.
Sorry, I'm out.
Another one. This, according to Mark Stein, Utah is open to listening to trade pitches for anyone on the roster not named Lauri Markkanen or Walker Kessler.
Oh, sign me up for a guy that I love.
This is not the guy that you want, but Nickeil Alexander-Walker is the Rui-type trade from them. He's making $5 million, restricted free agent after this year. He's had some moments for the Jazz this year. Like that is a real flyer that you would take, a Rui-type.
Yeah, it'd be a flyer. I'd be interested in that. Frank in a second for something like that. But are you gonna bring up Jared Vanderbilt? Because I would love Jared.
Well, the Jared Vanderbilt one's not a Rui deal because he would actually cost you something. So with the Jazz guys, so we'll go to the Jazz guys now. So there's
Josh Green or Jared Vanderbilt.
Oh, but Josh Green is our son now.
Aussie.
I think I'd take Josh Green, but I do love Jared Vanderbilt.
I love Jared Vanderbilt. If you could add Jared Vanderbilt to Josh Green, then all of a sudden you have a wing rotation, like a wing cord that, Dorian and Reggie up front, Josh Green and Jared Vanderbilt off the bench. Like then all of a sudden you can replicate your game plan in 2 different ways. But you'd have to give up a first to get Jared Vanderbilt, I think.
I don't know.
You don't think so? What would you have to give up then if you're the Mavs?
It'd have to be Josh Green, probably.
Yeah. Like you have to give up something of value that you don't want to give up. This is one of our points from this first segment is that you don't want to have to give up something of value for something that would take away from a bigger move you can make later. Here's a couple of older types, but are kind of Rui type moves where they like don't cost a lot. Most of them are expirings. D'Angelo Russell, 27 years old. He's older. Still kind of a swing money wise, but money wise, you get off of some money here. You get the 3-month swing of D'Angelo Russell to see if he can, change the scenery helps him. Finally, a winning environment. My guy has played for the Lakers when they were bad. He went to the Warriors when they weren't good, and then all of a sudden he's in Minnesota where they're not good. It's like
Minnesota could do. I mean, didn't they lose to Houston last night? I mean, Houston's horrible.
Yeah,
they could do anything at the deadline. And I wouldn't be shocked. They could be trading off some of these guys. They need to be calling up Utah every day and saying, what do we have to add? Like for Russell Conley swap, stuff like that. They desperately need a vet point guard in there.
Utah would have to add money to that deal, which is kind of funny.
Or they just get wild with it, and it's like some big 4-way swap to where like Lowry goes to Dallas, Conley goes to Minnesota, Russell goes to Utah, Kyle Anderson, Tim goes to like Miami and stuff.
You'd think this is a Rui deal, but he's 27 already. Kelly Oubre, $12.6 million expiring.
I'm interested for the right price on that. Yeah. Obviously, I've been looking at Charlotte's roster a lot, so
yeah, it's hard to put together salaries though that match 12.6 for the Mavs. Like you'd have
it'd have to be like Dwight probably.
Yeah. You'd have to do that, or you're adding assets to Davis. Like that's what you're dealing with there.
I'm not adding assets right now to get off money.
Right, which is the whole point. Two interesting ones I didn't think about until I did this exercise. Torrey Craig, 32, $5.1 million expiring. And Campaign, your favorite, 28 years old, $6 million, and he's $6.5 million non-guaranteed the next year. So essentially a non-guarantee, or essentially an expiring.
Yeah,
if Phoenix is like, for neither of them?
Yeah, one, I don't think Phoenix is like selling or
they're not selling. But should they?
No.
Okay. Then you talk about Josh Richardson. He's making $12 million. So that would be like a Dwight. And at that point, I don't know if I'm trading Dwight for Josh Richardson, even straight up.
No, I'm not.
Like I don't think you're like as much as Dwight is not the starting center that this team needs. He's also a center that this team needs.
Let me circle back to Monte Morris real quick.
Yeah.
Monte Morris makes $9 million this year, 9.8 next year. So if they're trying to shed some money off their books, they have DeLon Wright. Obviously, they have Beal and those guys.
Johnny Davis in the wings.
Yeah, but for Monte Morris, like let's just say they're looking around the league saying, all right, can somebody give us an expiring contract and a second round pick or 2 seconds just so we can get off that money for next year? I'd be calling if I was Dallas. I would like him as a third guard off the bench. I think he'd be good.
He'd be great for the Mavs. The problem is he started every game he's played. So I think he's too important to them.
Too important to do what?
Exactly. But what are they doing? Right? Like they're building this thing that I don't know what it is. I don't know if they know what it is, but whatever they think it is, they're doing it. But they did just get Kendrick Nunn, so maybe they can get off Monte Morris now that they've made that.
Are you interested in Kendrick Nunn being rerouted?
I am not interested in that. But Monte Morris would be great. I just think you have to add stuff to get that done.
Okay.
But if you really want to go nuts with the Wizards, can you do a Monte Morris Daniel Gafford combo where you're like, all right, we're really helping them get off some money?
Yeah.
Because Daniel Gafford only makes 1.9.
Christian Wood has to be in that deal probably.
Would you do Christian Wood for Monte Morris and Daniel Gafford? Plus,
you got to add money,
and you probably have to add value on the Mavs side of it.
Well, be interesting. I think Gafford would be a fun fit with Luka, and Monte Morris would.
Gafford and Monte Morris for Christian Wood.
How much more money would Dallas have to add to it?
Dallas wouldn't have to add any to it. The Wizards would have to add like $2 million. Because
Gafford has to.
It doesn't kick in until he's making 1.9 this year. His deal doesn't kick in until next year.
Gafford and Monte Morris for Christian Wood.
Yeah,
I would do it
because we're operating under the thought that the Mavs aren't going to re-sign Christian Wood, so you got to get something for him if they're not going to re-sign him.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to sign him to an long-term extension, and you might lose him for nothing this summer,
yeah,
that would be a great consolidation. Or no, that's not consolation. There you go. Prize.
That was a very close word, but it meant different. It meant a different thing. There you go, guys. Let us know in the comment section below. Would you rather the Mavs make a win now trade, or would you rather wait for the big move? Let us know what's one player you want the Mavs to go after. In the comment section below. Thanks for making us your first listen today. Now make your second listen. Locked On NBA game to game. Top performances every moment, every result from the local experts like us, covering each of these games in person a lot of times. So go check it out. Locked On NBA game to game on the Locked On NBA YouTube channel or the podcast feed. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.